We are on verdict watch in the Allison Feldman murder case. It is a story that has literally made headlines in the Valley for the last 11 years. Ever since the heartbreaking details first came in about what happened in her home in South Scottsdale. And it is a case that we are going to get some fresh perspective on as the jury now takes under consideration what was said to them in closing arguments yesterday. We've got Josh Kolsrud, who will be joining us this morning to talk all about it. That is how we start today with Fox 10 Talks. Also today on Fox 10 Talks, what can you do if you feel threatened to the point that you may even feel your life is threatened if you're in some sort of an altercation in traffic? I mean, we have road rage incidents in this town, but now there's a case of a woman who was armed and opened fire on another driver who was approaching her. Should this be a murder case or not? And then new questions about whether or not Sheriff Nanos is in serious trouble as the Pima County Board of Supervisors starts to dig into his background. We'll get you some perspective on that. Plus, all of the cool pics coming in from Artemis II. You probably have heard that there have been some really beautiful pictures. I mean, really stunning pictures. And if you are fascinated by space, like so many of us are, we're going to show you the cream of the crop. That is all coming up. But we start this morning with that broad view of these major legal cases and verdict watch in the Feldman case. However, let's talk about what is happening in Iran. Earlier this morning, the War Secretary and General Dan Kane both spoke. Here's what got said.
Epic Fury decimated Iran's military and rendered it combat ineffective for years to come. You see, in less than 40 days, one of our combatant commands, Central Command, CENTCOM, using less than 10% of America's total combat power, dismantled one of the world's largest militaries.
We welcome the ongoing ceasefire, and as the Secretary said, we hope that Iran chooses a lasting peace. But as Secretary Hegseth said, let us be clear, a ceasefire is a pause, and the joint force remains ready, if ordered or called upon, to resume combat operations.
All right, there you heard it. That was early this morning, and boy, it did sound like it was kind of a wrap-up of Operation Epic Fury. The defense or the war secretary talking about what it had accomplished. Now, inside Iran, here we go. The sound of the loudspeakers blaring in central Tehran as people gathered to mark 40 days since the beginning of the war there, and a sense that perhaps this peace deal will hold. And at the same time, they were still holding up pictures of the Ayatollah, who was one of many who was killed in that original U.S. strike. So a lot of new developments going on there. And, of course, one of the things you want to keep a track of, no doubt, is what is going on when it comes to the price of oil. It has had an impact worldwide. We have seen shortages around the world, particularly in some Asian countries. We have also seen the price at the pump push right up against $5 a gallon here in the Valley. The market is up. It's been holding at this level pretty much through the day, up over 1,200 points, and the price of oil is down roughly $20 a barrel. So we are going to continue to keep track on all of that regarding what's going on. But now, let's get you up to speed on the Allison Feldman case. Ian Mitchum now awaiting the jury's verdict. And here's what got said yesterday in the courtroom in downtown Phoenix.
He was confronted about DNA being at the scene, and he asked, how did it get there? You tell me. He told the detectives over and over that he didn't know how his DNA got there. He did not know her. He had not been to her house, and he did not kill her.
Mr. Kirchler referred to the DNA in this case as a red herring. Exactly what you expect coming from the person representing the man whose DNA is all over this house.
The bleach removed ion from the scene goes both ways. Equally could have removed from the scene.
And what I want you to consider is that when Mitcham chose to commit these crimes, he picked Allison, a 31-year-old female who lived by herself, who was alone on the night of February 17th. And by doing so, he ensured that there would be nobody there to witness the things that he did to her.
All right, so closing arguments as a kind of an emotional day, honestly, when the prosecution is laying out its case in a story that these jurors now have been listening to for several weeks, and frankly, in a case that had gone cold for some time, but is now front and center in the headlines, and it all has to do with the murder of Allison Feldman in her home more than a decade ago. We wanted to bring Josh Kolsrud on. He joins us this morning, prominent attorney here in town. Hi, Josh.
Hi, how are you doing?
Really good. This is one of several cases you've been keeping your eye on. Tell us right now kind of what your take is on how it's all been going down.
Well, this is a case that captured the nation's imagination. It was the first case in Arizona where authorities used the genetic genealogy technique in order to solve this cold case. And there were some issues with it, and the issues were appealed and went all the way up to the Arizona Supreme Court, who eventually ruled that the DNA evidence would come in. Now, that's crucial because in this case, Ian Mitchum's DNA was found in 4 or 5 different locations inside of the home of the victim, including a doorknob, the sliding door, a beer bottle, and other places. And this is significant because there's no connection between Ian Mitchum and the victim. And so the defense really, if they're going to win this case, they should have created or explained an innocent explanation of why his DNA would be there. I'll give you an example. When I was a prosecutor, I had a burglary case, commercial burglary, where there was a piece of DNA later found 5 years later on a broken piece of glass. We were able to later identify the DNA to a certain person, and we went to trial. And, I was able to win that case as a prosecutor by saying, look, there's no innocent explanation why this person's DNA was on this piece of glass when the burglary took place. And that's essentially the same thing that were happening here. But the defense didn't do that. All they said was that, DNA is just circumstantial. It doesn't tell you how it got there or when it got there or the circumstances of why it got there. But still, there wasn't an explanation of why this person's DNA is in her house, not just in one location where there might be an innocent explanation, but all over the place, places where you would expect a burglar to be in a burglary gone wrong. Plus, there were items that were stolen in the house.
Do we know how, and this is how they came to know one another or where they think they came? He's accused of this crime. Obviously, we're waiting for the jury to come forward, but how they met?
Yeah, so the defense has submitted to the jury that they actually didn't know each other, but they lived in a similar area, and that it's plausible that they came into contact at some point in time, and that through touch DNA, the victim had his DNA on her and then transferred it to her house. Now, again, that's plausible for maybe one location in the house, but not multiple locations, including a doorknob and a beer bottle, a sliding glass door, and on the floor, all around where bleach was used to try to clean up the crime scene.
You know, we've chatted with you in the past, and wasn't it her father who lives in a different state in the upper Midwest somewhere who saw that familial DNA was used in a different case in his state, and then he brought it to the authorities, and he said, hey, can we use this?
Exactly. And that was the Kohberger case.
Yeah.
So just to remind viewers, the Brian Kohberger case was the Idaho case where Brian Kohberger killed in cold blood 4 female college students, including one student here from Arizona. And they found DNA at the crime scene that they couldn't match in their database. And so the FBI created a profile on Ancestry.com and other places, and were able to, create a family tree around the DNA. And that's how they were able to locate and find Brian Kohberger in that case.
But Josh, in that case, they also have his pings on his phone.
Sure.
That place him right there. They also have video from a gas station of that white vehicle of his leaving Moscow, Idaho, and heading back to Pullman, Washington. They don't have those kinds of things in this case.
No, they don't. But those identifications of Brian Kohberger and that vehicle came after the identification of who he was. So they worked backwards. They found out who he was. They worked backwards then instead of forwards.
Right.
They said, okay, he was in this area in a white vehicle. And that's why the white vehicle was there. And that's what the defense is actually saying in this case.
But wouldn't that be so helpful, though, in this case to prosecutors if they had one image of him on one camera a block away or 6 blocks away?
It would, but I don't think they need it because...
And back in 2015, was that even something that we did as much?
Yeah, really.
Or ring cameras? And things like that.
Good point.
I feel like in the last maybe 6-7 years, we've just seen this huge spike in people purchasing cameras or seeing them on streetlights.
Sure. Well, they did have the triangulation with the cell phones back then to the cell towers.
Yeah.
But you're right. You didn't have the low-cost cameras that are widely available as you do right now.
Okay, so we're going to take a break. We'll get more of Josh's thoughts. Again, we are in standby mode for a verdict in the Allison Feldman murder case. We're also, hi Syleste.
Hi, Ron.
You're in my space. We're also going to talk about what you can and can't do if you're in a confrontation in traffic. It's all coming up with Josh. Hello there. Okay, we just barely got to the mystery cam as we went to the break. So now's your first chance at home to view it and then give your guesses. Celeste, I'm just waiting for one of our regulars, possibly a Mr. Paul Valine, possibly an RLS Vids, to jump in and guess Tucson. Because we see that guess on an almost daily basis until we finally put a Tucson shot up. This is one beautiful place in the park system, that's for sure.
Well, I see the steam coming from some of the, the waterways there. So I am going to go with Yellowstone.
Okay, now here's the thing, Celeste.
What state is that in again?
Okay, this is what I was about to mention. Why it is officially in 3 states.
Well, that's why Brian, who's from Montana,
I know.
He stood up and he's
I know.
Yeah, he's like, okay, let me set the record
So
straight.
the question is, the portion, what, Dave?
Oh, it
says mystery cam moves at 10:45.
Oh, okay.
You guys,
never mind.
So Louis Gonzalez and Outlaw Dynamo, you were correct, but we are moving the mystery camera to a
later.
different
Yes, that's
time.
right.
10:45 this morning. We're going to get right to it.
So we'll have fun with that.
Yes, we
But
will.
we got to get back to being serious, because we can also do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
I mean, I'm a mom of 3 teenagers, Ron. I can be real serious.
I bet you could turn on a dime. When you're in that SUV and it's time for the law to come down on a hammer.
I've pulled over several times.
When was
in
the
a
most
neighborhood.
recent? Let's hear about it.
Ron,
come on.
If somebody's talking back to me in the car, I'm pulling over.
Good.
And I'm like, if you keep it up, you're getting out of my car. You can walk home.
Good. Well, now hold on a second. We have a lawyer here who's going to weigh in.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anyway, Josh is about as brilliant a legal mind as you're going to find. And Josh, there is a case. Let me just give people a little bit of the 411, and then we can take off into it. There was a lady who got arrested. There was a shooting last fall, and now they are proceeding with a manslaughter case. That manslaughter could be, I think, a max of something like 12 years behind bars.
7 to 15, I think is what it is.
Okay. Heather Arriaga, they say that she obviously felt threatened, 24 years old, just up the road here at 7th Avenue in Missouri, as another driver apparently approached her. She felt threatened enough, she pulled out her gun and shot him. You've been looking into this case, Josh. What kind of perspective do you have for us on this one? And by the way, I think everybody at home, I don't know if we lead the country in road rage, but we got a lot of them. And people really want to know, what can you do and what can't you do?
There's a lot to unpack here. So, if you're involved in a road rage incident, number one, Arizona has a stand your ground law, meaning that you do not ever have a duty or a requirement to retreat. So if somebody is cutting you off and they pull over to the side of the road and you decide to do the same, there's nothing illegal about that, okay? Now, if you have a weapon in your car, it's important legally that you turn off your car because let's say that you have to use what you would call self-defense and you shoot somebody from inside your car and your car is on, the county attorney's office will charge you with a drive-by shooting. So it's really important that you turn off your car, because if your car is turned off, there's no drive-by shooting. Now, there's 2 different legal scenarios where you're justified in using deadly force. And the first is obviously self-defense, where you have to reasonably believe that you or somebody else in the vehicle's lives is in danger, and that danger could only be stopped by deadly force. The second way is, defense of your vehicle, where a person would have to try to open the door or try to punch you or injure you while you're inside your car, and you believe that your life is in danger, and then you have a justification, to use deadly force in that
Do you
scenario.
have to tell them, I got a gun? Do you have to say that?
No, but you certainly can say that. Yeah. So Arizona, for defense of property, allows someone to say that they're willing to use deadly force in order to defend their property. But you can only use deadly force if you reasonably believe that your life or somebody else's life is in danger.
So let me ask you this question here. She stayed on scene, was questioned, released by detectives at the time. But now she's been arrested. So what was it, you think? What are some of the circumstances you think that authorities were looking into between releasing her after questioning her at the scene? She did stay there. And then now she's been arrested.
Well, what police officers want to do in any case is establish motive. And it may have taken them a while to go through her phone, through what's called a data dump, and see if she made any text messages or comments to anybody right before this happened, during, or right after, so they can see whether or not she actually was in fear for her life. So that's one thing. Another, the county attorney's office receives 30 or 40,000 submittals a year, and sometimes it does take them a while to get through these cases to actually get them charged.
Interesting. So taking a look at the information on your phone, you never know who she's texting after the fact.
Exactly.
And a lot of cars these days too, newer vehicles, they are being built with cameras already installed.
Oh, that's a good point.
They're supercomputers. Yep, especially Teslas. A lot of the Teslas have 11 cameras all around the vehicle. Right. They can, and some of them actually have even microphones, and they record everything. And it takes a while for law enforcement to get all that data. It's terabytes of data. And then it takes even longer for them to actually sift through it and find what they're looking for.
So will they most likely in a case like this go back and look at I guess you could call it the aggressor, the person who was approaching their vehicle, the woman's vehicle, look at his background, look at her background, or those kind of things even enter into a case like this?
Absolutely. And they want to determine whether or not a reasonable person would believe that the person approaching her vehicle had a weapon on him or was perceived to have a weapon on him. So if he had his hand behind his back, walking towards the vehicle, or if, let's say he said, "Hey, I've got something for you," implying that he did have a weapon, then I think that favors a justification in using lethal force in the facts that you just gave me.
Okay, let's shift to this other case. There is a case out of Hawaii that I think a lot of people in the country have been watching closely. It's an attempted murder case. It's this prominent doctor over there who, according to prosecutors in this case, literally tried to kill his wife by pushing her off a trail. Not successfully, picks up a rock and tries to beat her. This seems like it would be a kind of a slam dunk case for the prosecution, but I know you've been looking into it closely. What's your take?
Yeah, it seems like that on paper, but what came out at trial was actually that there are a lot of holes in the victim's story. So, let's kind of go through them. Now, the injuries to her head were largely superficial, obviously very bloody, and that's what happens because you have so many capillaries around your head that anything that gets cut, there's just blood everywhere. Yeah. But she did not have a traumatic brain injury, and she did not have a concussion. But she later told her personal doctor to put in his diagnosis that there was, even though there wasn't. So she's trying to make it seem worse than it actually is. Second, she said that her husband, the doctor, tried to stab her with a syringe that he had in his fanny pack. The problem is that there were two witnesses who showed up about halfway through what was going on. They never saw a syringe. They never saw a fanny pack with any type of medication, and they were both nurses. Okay? And then the two eyewitnesses, the nurses, they only saw the aftermath. They saw, they came in when the doctor was on top of her and hit her once, okay? And her injury was consistent with being hit once or twice. But she told investigators that she was hit 8 to 10 times. Now, what the doctor is saying is that she's the one that attacked him because she was having an affair. An emotional affair with a coworker, and he discovered this. And there was also a $1.5 million life insurance policy that he had that would benefit her if he died. So she would have a financial windfall if he would have died. So there's a lot of circumstantial evidence here to determine who had the intent to kill, who had the motive to kill, and it's not as cut and dry as what the pictures and some of the media is trying to make it out. Well,
this is the problem with media coverage on cases, and this is why we like to bring Josh on to get perspective. I want to ask you, though, one last question before we let you go, Josh, which is, Is Sheriff Nanos in Pima County in some trouble? Listen to, they have now set out a list of demands from Pima County on what they want to see regarding his past. Listen to this.
Board could then take another vote and say you did not meaningfully respond to the questions and therefore did not comply with ARS 11-253, and we could move forward with potentially a removal.
Move forward with potential removal of the sheriff. This sounds like it has really gotten serious between him and the board.
We have Caroline Levitt, Ron. Do we want to go live now or wait till after the break? Hey, Josh, can you hang with us for a quick moment?
No
all right, let's go to that live shot. We're going to D.C. now.
Of his wife's efforts in getting this critical legislation passed to protect America's youth. So we thank the First Lady for her efforts, and we hope that others will report on this historic conviction yesterday. With respect to the 2-week ceasefire announced by President Trump last night, this is a victory for the United States of America that the president and our incredible military made happen. From the very beginning of Operation Epic Fury, President Trump stated this would be a 4 to 6 week military operation to dismantle the military threat posed by the radical Islamic Iranian regime. Thanks to the unbelievable capabilities of America's war fighters, the United States has achieved and exceeded those core military objectives in just 38 days. The U.S. military destroyed Iran's defense industrial base, crushing the regime's ability to manufacture weapons that they and their proxies use to maim and kill Americans and terrorize the world. Iran's ability to build and stockpile ballistic missiles and long-range drones has also been set back by years compared to where it was 6 weeks ago prior to the launch of Operation Epic Fury. We destroyed the vast majority of Iran's ballistic missiles, launcher vehicles, and long-range attack drones through more than 450 strikes on ballistic missiles and approximately 800 strikes on Iran's drone-launching units and storage facilities. In total, more than 13,000 targets across Iran were struck. Again, this is in the matter of just 38
We'll take a break. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
The Iranian Navy was completely annihilated. The United States destroyed more than 150 naval vessels in total, including 16 entire classes of Iranian warships. Despite once being the largest undersea force in the Middle East, Iran now has 0 submarine vessels. 97% of Iran's once massive inventory of more than 5,000 naval mines has also been targeted and destroyed. Iran's air forces are functionally and operationally irrelevant at this point, after the United States maintained total air dominance over their country for weeks on end. To underscore the significance of this, before Operation Epic Fury, the Iranian Air Force would fly between 30 to 100 flights per day. Today, that number is 0. Iran's ability to fund and support its terrorist proxies has been greatly reduced. At this point, Iran can no longer distribute weapons to its proxies in the region. And most importantly, Iran will not be able to acquire nuclear weapons. Prior to the start of this successful operation, Iran was aggressively expanding its short-range ballistic missile arsenal. Through these weapons and its navy, Iran was attempting to build a military buildup around their country that would pose an imminent and existential threat to the United States military assets in the Middle East, our allies in the region, and ultimately the free world. Iran was pursuing this dangerous and aggressive strategy for one reason: to hold the entire world hostage to its terrorist ambitions. The Iranians aimed to use their expanded military capabilities as a shield around their country to continue achieving their ultimate goal internally, building nuclear bombs. But their murderous and evil plans have been blown up, quite literally and figuratively, along with their military, their nuclear program, and most of their senior leadership, including the former Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Their command and control structures were also massively disrupted after being struck more than 2,000 times. Many of their remaining leaders are paralyzed in fear and no longer enjoy the freedom to move around their country freely and meet openly. Thanks to the unmatched excellence of our warriors at the direction of the Commander-in-Chief, the world has just witnessed a historically swift and successful military triumph. President Trump started Operation Epic Fury with strategic military objectives in the United United States has clearly achieved them. As we mark this progress, we also remember and honor the 13 American heroes who laid down their lives in this noble effort. I know President Trump and our grateful nation honors their ultimate sacrifice, and we will never forget them. May God bless their families. The valiant efforts of all of our incredible service members created maximum leverage for the President of the United States, allowing he and his leadership team to engage in tough negotiations over the past couple of weeks that have now created an opening for a diplomatic solution and long-term peace in the Middle East.
Okay, so we will continue to keep an eye on the news conference. It could go quite a while today. We're also streaming it on our nearby YouTube channel. But Celeste, we wanted to just kind of wrap up with Josh because we were on to yet another fascinating case.
Yeah. Continue on, my friend.
Yeah, so this Sheriff Nano situation just keeps getting hotter and hotter for him, certainly on the hot seat. Yeah. When you're in the national spotlight, that your opponents are definitely going to come after you. Now, what's surprising here is that his opponents are from the same party, and it's not frequent that you have your own party looking to take you out, so to speak. And here you have a recall petition, and you have the Board of Supervisors, mostly Democrats, who are also going after the sheriff. Now, there are several issues that the board is very concerned about. Number one is political retaliation against a former Republican candidate against him who worked for, I believe, the Bureau of Prisons. And he put her on administrative leave a couple weeks before the election and then leaked that the reason why, that she provided assistance to a reporter to interview one of the inmates that was there, but it was kind of exaggerated, and it definitely looked like it was political, which is certainly against the rules of the election process. You also have the RICO allegations against his former boss, where the Pima County Sheriff's Office misused funds for a clubhouse, and they hired their own wives and spouses to run it. And then you also have the El Paso situation, where Sheriff Nanos was a sheriff down there and was given the choice to either be fired or to leave based on excessive use of force and other reasons. But Sheriff Nanos on his resume said that he had been on the El Paso Police Department until 1984, but really he was only there until 1982. So there's a lot of discrepancies that the board is really looking into.
Interesting. Josh, thank you so much.
Thank you,
by the way,
you have a big schedule.
Yeah. What's the name of your podcast?
No Contest.
No Contest. Can I jot that down?
Absolutely.
No Contest.
And by the way, Joshua Tovar says, I think Josh has a nice haircut. Shout out to his barber.
Central Barber, Central and Camelback.
There you go.
There you go.
What does a guy like you, where you're kind of a high roller here in town, pay for a cut like that, Josh?
About $20.
Oh, that's not bad.
Wow, look at him.
Look at that. The crowd loves it, our in-studio crowd.
That's why he's a high roller, because he's on a budget, Ron.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, Josh, we'll see you hopefully next week.
Thank you, Josh. Thank
All right,
you.
let's just update everybody on what's been going on this big case out of Southern California. When these images came in, Celeste, our producer got in our ear at about 6 o'clock in the morning yesterday and said, there is a fire going on at a warehouse. And as we took it live, it almost seemed unbelievable. It's a 6-alarm fire. Look at how many units they have on this thing. Some of the semis nearby, the heat was so hot, they were catching on fire too. And now we're learning a little bit more about the whole situation.
Yeah, so what we know right now, some of the newest information, is that a male employee is in custody as the primary suspect. He was reported missing initially when all of the employees inside the warehouse, had to escape. Everybody was like, where is this guy? Where is this guy? While the building and inventory are a total loss, as you can imagine. I believe there were paper products inside this building. There were 20 employees on site at the time, all of them unharmed, fortunately. If you've ever flown in or out of Ontario, California, it's interesting because they have all these different warehouses from different companies, Amazon, Target, all kinds of different companies that are built all around the Ontario airport. airport. It's a very popular place for transport of products. So we don't know, who owns the warehouse or what type of products. They just say they were paper products, and you can see all of the semi trucks that were lined up outside.
Yeah, catching fire.
Oh, my goodness.
Wow.
And what a job here for these crews, too.
Well, we always point out innocent till proven guilty. And I don't believe we have the man's name, at least not yet. But in any scenario where you're setting a fire, allegedly, and yet there are other people in the building,
yes,
it's unbelievable.
And pretty frightening for everyone else. They're like, oh man, I knew this person, or I thought I knew that person, or something like that.
No kidding.
By the way, Burger Boy's 25. My haircut is free. He says, I do my own. LOL.
That's perfect. Okay. Well, maybe we need to see a picture.
Yeah, send us a photo at Fox10Talks at Fox.com.
Hey, let's talk about what we all think about the Mystery Castle, because it's a unique feature of the Valley here at our history. So it's up there at 7th Street and Dobbins, kind of on the edge of South Mountain. It was built in the 30s. It was closed to the public 4 years ago. That was 22. Then in 23, a permit to demolish it was submitted. There's been vandalism and break-ins, but now they have a new owner, and they want to get input from the public on what to do. Should they restore it, bring it back to its glory days, maybe even make it a tourist-type facility?
Yeah.
I would love to see that happen.
I think it would be amazing. So listen to this. I found this this article online, and it said that the Mystery Castle is internationally known, and it's been in Life magazine, HGTV Extreme Homes, Warner Brothers, and a bunch of other different Associated Press, New York Times. It's been around, as you mentioned, Ron, since the 1930s, and it really is a very cool piece of history in Arizona. So I think this is great that they're going to keep it, not demolish it.
Yeah, and I think they should tell the story of the original builder. Maybe even create like a little museum in there, so you get when there's something unique to learn about, whether it's our history or somewhere else, I also want to know the human story behind it. So hopefully they are able to preserve it. Hopefully they can get it. You saw the sign there. Adults $10, children $5.
Yeah.
Let's keep those prices low.
Thank you, Ron.
Okay. Let's update you now on the situation in Iran. This news conference was fascinating to me this morning, Celeste. Pete Hegseth and General Dan Kane were both speaking, and it almost sounds like they're speaking in the past tense.
Yeah.
Okay, take a listen to some of what got said.
Epic fury decimated Iran's military and rendered it combat ineffective for years to come. The world's leading state sponsor of terrorism proved utterly incapable of defending itself.
The United States Joint Forces struck more than 13,000 targets, including in that 13,000 more than 4,000 dynamic targets that popped up on the battlefield.
President Trump had the power to cripple Iran's entire economy in minutes, but he chose mercy. He spared those targets because Iran accepted the ceasefire under overwhelming pressure. The new Iranian regime understood that a deal was far better than the fate that awaited them.
We attacked, along with our partners, approximately 90% of their weapons factories. Every factory that produced Shahed one-way attack drones.
There will be no Iranian nuclear weapons. Period. Full stop. Other presidents said it. President Trump did it.
I ask that we never forget our fallen and their families, especially those 13 fallen from Operation Epic Fury. May we always be worthy of their sacrifice and honor their legacy.
Okay, so here we go. Here are your options. What is most likely to happen next with Iran? We're going to put the QR code. You can grab it with your phone. Give us your opinion. Do you think it's most likely the ceasefire will hold and there'll be a permanent peace deal? 10%. 8%. The ceasefire ends, the U.S. leaves, but there is no formal peace deal of any kind. And more than 80% are skeptical right now, saying the ceasefire will fall apart and possibly within days.
So this is interesting. We don't see this very often, but we're taking a look at your poll question on YouTube. More than 1,000 votes, but the ratio of where they sit right now is pretty much the same. So right now we have more than 1,000 votes on this one on YouTube. 9% said the ceasefire holds and leads to a permanent peace with Iran. 18% says the ceasefire ends and the U.S. leaves, but there is no peace deal. And 73% are also very skeptical on YouTube, says the ceasefire falls apart, possibly within days.
Wow. Okay. One more time. There's what the QR code looks like as well. So we'll update you, but we need to get your feedback. That's for sure. Here's the man who knows.
Big D. Yeah, so many good comments. People really fired up about this on fox10phoenix.com/poll, as well as on YouTube. Tom in White Rock, New Mexico says America will keep our promise and obliterate the regime. Sue's 1776 says X is saying that Israel broke the treaty and Iran is now blocking oil tankers again. I am fed up with both Israel and Iran and the entire Middle East. It isn't our business. I want nothing to do with any of it. Ronald NY1K says Israel will sabotage the peace deal. And AZ Sam 59 says the Iran regime always lies. They never keep their promises. They will break this ceasefire and President Trump will make them pay with their lives for it. Really intense stuff here. Keep the comments coming, guys.
All right. Thank you, Dave.
Wow.
Celeste, have you been looking at some of the pictures coming in from the moon?
They're almost unbelievable. Like, can you imagine? Yes. First of all, these brave individuals, these astronauts, make their way around the moon. They see these craters. They name one after the commander's wife who passed in 2020 from cancer. And then here they are able to see Earth and the rest of the space. It's just
that
incredible.
Eclipse, the fact that who else in our lifetime is ever going to be on the dark side of the moon?
And lose communication with Earth for 40 minutes.
Oh, yeah. I bet they didn't even care about it. I honestly, they were so certain they were going to come back in communication.
Yeah.
I bet Mission Control and NASA at Houston, they were probably a little nervous.
Well, imagine how quiet it was up there in the shuttle.
Yeah.
There's, none of the back and forth chatter, none of the white noise coming from the machines, nothing like that.
Yeah, and you're just floating out there. By the way, they have left the lunar sphere of influence, they called it, the orbit. They're on their way back home. We should take a mystery camp break, Celeste.
Here we are, baby. Here we are.
It's the real one. Give us your guess. All right, Celeste, I think we're getting guesses.
Yes, we are. Jared of Sonora says Tennessee. Lil Philosophy with the Missouri, and Burger Boy, it says Oklahoma. What do you think, Ron?
I would like to meet the man or woman who built that building. That is a nice-looking office building.
It really is. Look at all the corner offices. You don't just have like one or two.
Right?
There's like 5 or 6 different people that get a corner office.
Yeah, you're like, I'm going to build a building where everybody gets a corner office.
How fancy.
We should do that here.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah. Okay, Isabella says, do it here. We would just like a window.
Yes.
We're in Fort Knox, by the way, in downtown Phoenix. All right, so ladies, you have any guesses at all? Jared says Tennessee. Lil says Missouri. Burger Boy says Oklahoma.
I'm going to go with I'll go with a Tennessee.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think,
Those
Bella?
trees look Tennessee-ish.
Ohio.
Louis Gonzalez says Alabama.
You know, Ohio is always a safe bet. They got 88 counties.
That's true.
I mean, that's
One
a lot of
them-
cities.
Are there counties really small?
I guess.
Because, you know,
it's
we
not
don't-
like Maricopa or
No.
Mojave or Coconino.
Oh,
You
yeah.
talk about your large counties.
Don't forget about Coconino.
Yeah.
What?
I love the way you say that.
I'm just
so good.
Coconino.
Coconino.
You know, I had to train myself to say out at the Chiricahuas.
Uh-huh.
First, I had to train myself to say Chiricahua, so I would know how to spell it.
Oh.
Because if you go with the spelling, it's Chiricahua.
Hua. Or
But
like,
you don't have to say it that
what
way.
about like Fort Huachuca? I think people who are not.
Yes.
And
That
you
one
Correct.
messed me up.
Yep.
Bells has worked
Yep.
in Tucson, Southern
Correct.
Arizona.
Yep.
Okay, what are you going to go with, Ron?
I am actually going to go, believe it or not, with Louie, who says Bama.
Bama.
By the way, here we go. Here comes your answer, and Celeste has it.
Eden Prairie, Minnesota.
Oh gosh, really? We were so far off. Way up in the great north there, Eden Prairie. So that is, you know what, guys? That's a suburb of Minneapolis, and it's not that far, I don't think, from Paisley Park, where Prince had his home and his recording studio.
wow.
Maybe 20 miles away from there, something like that.
And they have a
Over
Wings
on that
of the
side.
North Air Museum there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Wings of the North.
See,
That's pretty cool.
I spent a week in Minneapolis or in Minnesota, and I never even went to go see Wings of the North.
But you did get to see, was it the Wizard of Oz? What's her name? Her house.
Judy Garland's house.
Judy Garland's house.
Yeah, where one of the greatest capers of all time was committed, the theft of the red ruby slippers.
Yeah.
But it turned out they were actually, Bella, in a guy's garden up in Minneapolis or a suburb. And that's where they stayed
Wow.
for a
In
very long time.
garden?
Yeah, until finally somebody fessed up, and the guy pulled them out of the dirt.
Oh,
You know, I think
buried
they were in a
them.
bag or something like that.
You had
but
to protect them.
these people,
Oh, my
these
gosh.
criminals.
Goodness.
Come on. Anyway, guys, let's talk just a little bit. Remember yesterday, Celeste,
Yes.
you and Bella were teaching us how to be healthy. We were talking about Scottsdale being one of America's 10 healthiest cities. And frankly, I think if they kept looking around the valley, you got a lot of other, from Buckeye to Gilbert, got a lot of other towns that have these really nice parklands
Yeah.
and a lot of places you can
Hiking
go.
trails.
Yeah. So then I said, you know who got left out yesterday?
You.
Was Big D. Oh, me also, but yeah, I got left out of my own show. No, Big D, because let me just punch it up here. I'm going to look for graphics 3. We asked Dave. Let me make sure this is right. Yeah, graphics 3. Dave, what do you do to be healthy?
Oh, look at him with the salad. Look how happy he is, too. That's how you know he's healthy, because he's so happy.
Oh my gosh, that is so great.
Happy.
Look at that. And look at how Dave has his own personal microwave. Have you guys ever noticed that?
That
come on.
is pretty cool.
Yeah. Also, Dave is extremely close to all the bosses' offices. That's why you're seeing some of that behind you.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a boss. He
Yes.
just doesn't have an actual office yet. Dave,
Not
what
yet.
are you laughing about, man? You are a boss.
Well, thanks, guys.
Yeah.
I love all of you very much and love those salads.
Is that part of how you stay healthy, is eating those salads?
It makes me feel better about not eating healthy all the rest of the hour.
Oh, okay.
All the rest of the hours, he said.
Well, so I did promise yesterday that I was going to share with you guys kind of my healthy approach
Yes.
to life. And we had the family over for March Madness Grand Finale Monday night. So I thought I would just roll this video for you now, because basically this is my approach to healthy living and healthy eating when we have the grandkids over. First, you get loaded up pepperoni pizza. And then, look, Renee's she's like, hey, honey, I'm going to get some treats when the grandkids come over.
Aww.
So I couldn't, it was from one of those soda shops.
Oh, that's cool.
There was Renee. Possible celebrity encounter right there. Anyway, here
this is your healthy tip.
Correct.
Pizza and cookies and Danish.
Yeah, well, like cinnamon rolls. I just wanted to point out I cut a cinnamon roll in half.
Aren't they so good?
So that's my healthy eating option. I cut it in half, ladies.
Probably went from 800 calories to 400.
Thank you. I was so proud of myself.
Well, Ron, that goes along with a comment that we have in here from Joshua Tovar.
Okay.
He said, Scottsdale girls do look organic, but I love my chunky girls in Phoenix.
Oh, now we're getting somewhere in the chat today.
Preach, brother, preach.
Oh, that's so great. Okay, another trending story today is people talking about online what they do, maybe giving tips to others on what specific steps they take to feel more put together, like more organized in their life. And like some of the things they're like, getting the laundry done and folded for the week.
Oh,
like setting your clothes out for the week.
Yeah,
maybe
that actually helps.
Putting a calendar together.
Okay.
Another one I saw was always doing the dishes, never leave a dirty sink. So you wake up the next morning and all these different options.
There's a little mosquito in here.
Oh, no. The first of the season. That mosquito would have had to get past so many security guards.
How did he get all the way back here? We're in a tightly confined space.
So this is very interesting to me because we are now going to go to Abby on the Dave Cam.
Yes.
And she has a unique way. A lot of people love these new digital calendars. I say new. They've been around for like 20 years. But, like we do all of our digital calendars at work.
Yeah, we have them on the computer.
On the other hand, here with a competing opinion is Abby. What do you do, Abs?
Abs, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, what do you do?
So, in this digital age, I like to go old school. I got my handy dandy planner.
Nice.
From Marshalls, it's great.
Nice. From Marshalls.
I love Marshalls.
I'm a big advocate of lists.
Yes.
I have a list for everything in my life.
Okay.
First thing I do when I come in, I write my to-do list, and I have to write it in my planner, and I go to the exact day.
Yeah.
And I'm not really going to show it's my personal life, but
right. Oh, that was the part we were going to ask about.
We want to know
Darn
your
it.
list.
Well, yeah, sure. You can ask them, but I like to list out what I'm gonna do hour by hour after work. I get super.
Okay.
So what's going on today after work?
Correct. No names, but what else? What do you have planned the rest of the day?
Doctor's appointment, grocery store, meal prepping, gym, and then probably walk with Isabella.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. That's a really good list.
Yeah.
So what's your list for work? Do you write a list for things to do once you get into the newsroom?
I feel like every day is different, so you can't really predict that. I mean, when I first come in, I know my task for the day, so
yeah.
That's more go with the flow. I can
yes.
handle that.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
No, the stuff after work is more so I truly believe if you write down in the morning the list, it kind of gets it out of your head onto a piece of paper, and you're more likely to get it done. So.
And don't you feel good marking it off? Check mark.
Oh, I'm I cross everything
so
off.
satisfying.
Yeah.
It is
So satisfying, sis Bella. It's so true. Okay, so here's our viewer voicemail. Thank you, Abby. 602-262-0428. Do you have any tips for us on what you do to just feel a little more organized, a little more on top of things?
Oh, yeah.
And we would love to get your ideas.
Yeah. I think anytime there's something that can help us be a little bit more organized, it's a good thing.
Do you guys do anything? Anything just pop into your head, ladies?
I do my lunch the night before work.
Oh, that's
so when
good.
I leave in the morning, all I have to do is grab my lunchbox and I'm good to go.
Oh, that's good.
I get all my laundry done by about 6:45 on Saturday morning for the whole week because I'm up by 4:30 or 5. Put it in the washing machine, put it in the dryer.
Do you just have 1 or 2 loads?
Yeah.
Wow, that's really impressive.
Okay. Well, it's just Renee and me. It's not like I got a lot.
That's actually
She does her
true.
laundry and I do mine.
Oh, you do your own.
Yeah,
Okay,
right.
that
Anyway,
makes sense.
Okay, let's just talk, you guys.
I'm sorry, I've got like 4 loads of all kinds of different things. And it's
Regular clothes and the jersey.
Okay.
Yeah, sports.
Time for the kids to start doing their own laundry. I love the new CEO at Burger King. I don't know if you guys heard about this, but I love the Whopper. I think it's always flame broiled. It's always been my favorite. But I feel like there have been times that I won't name any particular locations, but the meat is maybe not that hot. It's more like lukewarm. I remember once or twice getting a finger poked in the bun.
Oh.
And I'm like, come on. So the new CEO says, he has this whole commercial. He's like, look, we lost our way. We are going to nail it and come back and see how much better we are. So I can't wait to go back to BK. But he also said they're going to hire 60,000 people at their locations. I don't know if that's around the country or around the world because they got Burger Kings everywhere.
They do.
And that's going to be part of the effort to just up the quality of the Whopper and everything else. Any thoughts on Burger King?
Well, I just looked it up. This new guy, his name's Tom Curtis.
Yeah.
So Tommy is the new president of Burger King. Yep. Apparently he had in March, just last month, this new commercial of him taking a bite out of a burger.
Yeah, I saw it. I loved it.
That's kind of what people are saying, that it went viral. Yeah. And, he speaks to the camera to address past mistakes, discuss brand improvements, and then he announces that customers are now considered the king. He's calling the customers.
You are the king.
You're the king, and we're just here to serve you.
That is super cool. That is so cool.
All right, Tommy Curtis, well done.
All right, Dave, we got to try to get Mr. Burger King on the show here one of these days. Guys, we need to salute Liz. Aww. She came up with one of the more creative Fox 10 Talks t-shirts. Bella, do you think this was sunrise or sunset? Because the timing on it is just perfect.
It's perfect. I don't know, maybe sunset, but also I'm half and half. Either way, it's beautiful.
I think you might be right. I don't know. She'll have to let us know. Email us and let us know if this is sunrise or sunset. But this is a beautiful photo with 2 thumbs up with that sun beaming behind her.
Yeah, Liz, we appreciate you.
Thanks, you, Liz.
Thanks so much. And thanks to everybody for watching. We'll be back again tomorrow. We got another hour on YouTube.
All right. Boop, boop. Have a great day. Awesome. All right, good stuff. Woo! Way to shine, crew.
Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday. We're going to keep things rolling here on Fox 10 Talks. And now at 11 o'clock, we have a big panel of experts ready to join us here, covering a whole bunch of different topics. We're going to talk about the very latest with Iran.
Yep.
And then we're going to move on talking about tech and the heat, because the heat is right around the corner.
And then allergies, because I think everyone has been suffering.
Your lip liner, I think, exploded on your... right there. I thought you were bleeding for a second, but it's just your...
You guys, we have the Haass right now.
You're okay.
Does anybody ever get the... We're about to talk about some very serious stuff, and we have the Haass.
Just wanted to make sure you didn't have a... You're good. I thought you were bleeding for a second. Yep, you're good to go.
Okay.
All right.
Well, it's kind of like this goopy. It's a lip treat. Balm and mask.
There you go.
Okay, thank you. Let's go ahead and get to our first guest, Richard Haass.
Yes, Richard is the president emeritus of the Council of Foreign... Oh, hold on. There he is.
Go. Hi,
There's Richard
Mr.
Haass.
Good morning to you.
The president emeritus of the Council of Foreign Relations, and you were the president of CFR for 20 years, so we really do appreciate your time here on Fox 10 Talks at 11. Let's jump right into it. If you can just kind of bring us up to date with everything that happened last night. There was that deadline that was looming. All eyes were kind of on the White House yesterday to see exactly what the president would be doing. And then I guess was it like 90 minutes before that deadline, he said that they had come to some sort of deal. So walk us through what that deal entails.
I was able to fix it. All right, I did it on my feet. All right, box to fix.
Can't hear it.
Mr. Haass,
we're not hearing you.
You might be muted, Mr. Haass. We apologize.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There you go.
There we go. God, it's only been
what? We're not that great at lip reading just yet, but we are working on it.
You've had a lot of problems with your lip liner or eyeliner or whatever it was.
My chapstick, I'll send you the name. It's really excellent. Go ahead and start over. Thank you so much. Sorry about that.
We'll no longer do Simon and Garfunkel and the sound of silence. Okay. 8 o'clock Eastern last night, 5 o'clock, I suppose, or 6 o'clock, whatever the time difference is, your time, was the deadline. President threatened to attack bridges and power stations in Iran. Pakistan got very busy diplomatically with the United States and Iran, as well as China. And to make a long story short, a deal was announced calling for a 2-week ceasefire between the United States and Iran. And supposedly during these 2 weeks, all the big issues would be negotiated. And Iran agreed to, quote unquote, reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Since then, war seems to have continued between Israel and Hezbollah in Lebanon.
Yeah.
Iran has attacked several countries in the region with either drones or missiles. The Strait of Hormuz has not been, quote unquote, opened. So this fragile or tenuous ceasefire is fragile and tenuous. So that's where we are.
How did they get to that point? Because all that the president was talking about yesterday was potentially eliminating this entire country, essentially, and the people there. And I think all eyes were on the White House and what could potentially happen. How did they reach this, I guess, last-minute deal?
Well, again, my sense is that China didn't want things to continue. And the reason is, if the United States had made good on the president's threat, yes, the United States could have inflicted great damage on Iran, possibly in the process committing war crimes. Let's just put that aside. But what would have happened is Iran still would have retained the ability to hit energy infrastructure, water treatment plants, data centers throughout the region. So the entire region of the Middle East would have been devastated. And it's hard to see how that would have been in the interest of anybody. And even if the United States had done all this force, I don't think, again, Iran would have capitulated. It wouldn't have led to regime change. Economically, it would have been a disaster for the world. Energy prices would have jumped sky high. So I think for us, it was a threat rather than something we wanted to follow through. Iran didn't want to get hit that hard yet again. And again, China didn't want to see the entire region so disrupted. So I think that's what explains the ceasefire progress.
What's going to be happening now? Because you mentioned it right at the top that this doesn't appear to be going as well as maybe everybody hoped with this ceasefire, because we see the bombing that's now happening in Lebanon. What what's going to happen?
Well, the United States is going to have a difficult conversation with Israel about what they're prepared to do or to back off. And then I think, hopefully in Islamabad, these talks will begin. And then, the talks are going to be extraordinarily difficult. The gap between the two sides, between the United States, shall we say, and Iran is wider than the Strait of Hormuz. A lot of the big issues. So getting somewhere is going to be difficult. Supposedly, Vice President Vance will lead the U.S. side. He's probably the person in the administration most associated with opposition to the war and with a desire not to see it resume. So, we'll see. We'll see how willing the two sides are to come to a formal agreement. And if they can't come to a formal agreement, sometimes in diplomacy you have understandings and informal red lines and the rest. So another possible outcome is not that you have an entire deal that's signed, sealed, and delivered, but rather you have certain understandings between the two sides, which is more precarious, but is still better than all-out war.
We have a comment in the chat that says 2 weeks for Iran to regroup and rearm. Is that possible?
Well, 2 weeks is not enough time to do serious rearming. I mean, they continue probably to produce a small amount of drones, as we've seen in Ukraine. Every basement is a potential drone factory. So my guess is they can do a little bit there. Not much time to produce any more missiles. Plus, they probably still have hundreds of ballistic missiles. They can't do anything significant on the nuclear side. So the short answer is no. 2 weeks is not going to be militarily significant, really, for either side.
Mr. Haass, I wanted to ask you about the Strait of Hormuz. This has obviously become kind of the keystone of everything that's been going on with Iran. The president said that he wanted the strait opened up and for safe passage, and then that's when the ceasefire would begin. Iran, I'm just looking, breaking news saying that the Strait of Hormuz is now closed. So what can be done? I guess, is this what we're waiting for to see what happens in Pakistan and Islamabad on Friday when we get these people together?
No, maybe before then. I think the reason Iran is reportedly given is because of Israeli attacks on Hezbollah in Lebanon. So I think a really interesting question will be whether President Trump gets on the phone to Prime Minister Netanyahu and tells him to knock it off. And I wouldn't be surprised if he were to do that, because we have a larger set of concerns, shall we say, than Israel here. Now, this could be an awkward moment in U.S.-Israeli relations, but that's why God invented diplomats, to deal with awkward moments.
Right, but as early as this morning, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was saying he's not going to stop. So is it as simple as a phone call from President Trump to Netanyahu saying stop?
Well, again, I understand the Israelis don't want to stop, and it's one of these, how would I put it? It's one of the things that the United States and Iran really don't agree on at all, which is their support for the so-called proxy groups, Hezbollah, the Houthis, Hamas. And for the Israel, that's a principal concern. For the United States, it's a concern, but again, we have bigger ones in terms of the nuclear program or the Strait of Hormuz. So this could be an awkward moment in U.S.-Israeli relations where our priorities don't quite align. And then the real issue is whether the United States pushes hard for our priorities. And it's very hard for Israel to say no under those circumstances.
I want to also talk about China kind of getting involved in these talks. And I listened to another political expert say that he believes that China is kind of coming to the table to show the world, look at us. We're trying to offer help and, I guess, a path forward, but also to kind of show themselves as, quote unquote, the stable one, whereas the United States used to be considered the quote-unquote stable superpower. What can we, I guess, gather from China kind of getting involved with these talks now?
Well, I think what that person said is not far off. The United States, by starting this war, then by several of the president's posts on social media, has raised real questions about itself, about its judgment and the like. China is only happy to appear to come on the scene as the more moderate country. Lots of irony in here, given Chinese behavior at home and abroad, but let's just put that to the side. I think more than anything, China has an economic reason for not wanting to see things continue. It's dependent on oil exports from Iran, maybe 1.5 million barrels a day. but also it's dependent more broadly on energy from the region. So a much larger war that destroys a lot of the region's energy infrastructure would not be in China's interest. Plus, China, like everybody else, would pay an economic price if the world spiraled into recession or worse, which it would. So I think China wants to basically calm things down.
So I know we just talked about the ceasefire being threatened because of the Israeli attacks and the strikes, and so the Strait of Hormuz closed again. But 13 minutes ago, AP posted an article saying the White House says Trump is opposed to tolls for the ship passage through the Strait of Hormuz, and that's one of the big things that they talked about to make this deal is that there would be a toll. If this was in the deal and they talked about it last night, then why is President Trump now coming forward and saying I'm opposed to it?
Again, the president said the other day he was opposed to it. He also said he would be open to it maybe if the United States were one of the recipients of the revenue. Look, this is something that's going to have to be negotiated. What's going to be the new arrangement, let's use that word, for how the Strait of Hormuz is to be operated? And will countries like Iran, Oman, several of the other neighbors, might they have a role in it? Might there be some user fee or toll that would be shared among the local states? The main thing is that any toll not be excessive, and that Iran alone should never be in a position to dictate who can use the Strait of Hormuz. It's got to be an international waterway, and that's going to be a central issue of any negotiation.
Well, Mr. Haass, it has been an absolute pleasure to have you share your expertise with us this morning. We're probably going to keep you on speed dial if you don't mind, because I don't think that this is going to be wrapping up anytime soon. So hopefully we're able to talk to you again. But we do appreciate your time here this morning.
Thank you. And next time I promise to put the audio on.
You know what?
I promise not to get lip gloss all over my face.
It's just one of those days, it's midweek and things happen. So again, we appreciate your time, sir.
Take care. Be safe.
Thank you.
A couple of quick comments. Lil Philosophy says both Russia and China haven't had Iran's back in these two conflicts in these years. And so a lot of people keeping a close eye, thinking that there are so many other countries. And again, the point he made to China and the point that you made saying that China's coming forward saying we're making this effort.
Yeah. And obviously people really reacted to the news of that. Look at the stock market today, up about 1,300 points. So investors are happy to see that there's some sort of talks. But again, I guess we just have to wait and see what happens on Friday when those two sides meet once again. Quick break from us. We'll be right back. Well, welcome back. We're going to keep things rolling here on Fox 10 Talks at 11 o'clock. Obviously, we live in Arizona.
Extreme heat we already had 2 weeks of triple-digit extreme heat in March. Things cooling down the next week or so, according to our meteorologist, Crystal Ortiz, but it is inevitable. So we wanted to talk a little bit about how tech, specifically your Wi-Fi, because we all use it, we rely on it, is affected by the heat here in Arizona.
We have Tyler Luchtman. He is a technician at My Computer Works, which is an Arizona-based computer repair company and tech troubleshooter. I can't speak.
Tyler Tuck in the tech.
Tyler, good morning.
We can't hear you.
Is it hold on, that might be us. Oh no, it's you. It was us. It was us.
And you're the tech
expert. He would know.
What are we doing now? I was going to say, I'm pretty sure my side's good. No.
You're like, I know what I'm doing.
Thanks for having me, Ty and Anita. I appreciate it.
That's a nice office.
Oh, yeah. It's awesome, right? It's almost too good to be true. It's almost like it's virtual.
Oh, like an AI thing.
Yeah.
I
you
love
got
it.
me.
Okay, but it's still nice, though. Our Wi-Fi, in and out, spotty. How is this heat going to affect it?
Yeah, so if you're experiencing slow Wi-Fi speeds and stability issues with your home network, it could be the summer heat affecting your router. That's often overlooked, right? So it is heating up. It's heating up faster than I wanted it to. It seems like it's getting hotter this year than it earlier, right? But yeah, that slow Wi-Fi on your home network could 100% be due to your router overheating. They do have fail-safes inside of them that try to prevent them from fully failing. So they'll slow down before they actually fail.
So is there a place where we should maybe have them in our home to maybe cool them off? Because I have mine in a cabinet that's closed, and sometimes I reach in there and I'm like, it's a little hot in there. Probably not the best place, right, Tyler?
No, not at all. Yeah, so we want open air. We want good ventilation. Central location is really important. Again, like you said, in cabinets, in closed spaces, even near windows, right? A lot of heat builds up near windows. The sun comes through the window, or next to other hot electronics. Anything like that is definitely a no-no. But open air, elevation, central location where there's good airflow, that's great. That's what we want.
Anytime we have a problem at home, we just run in and say, reset the Wi-Fi, reset the router.
Yep, reboot the router.
Reset the router. It's the router's fault. Do you do that when it gets hot? Do you unplug it? Do you give it a break?
Yeah, it does. When you unplug the power, it does in fact do a heat cycle for the device. In fact, that goes for most of your devices. So we've talked about laptops before, and they overheat as well. If you do not reboot the devices, they will not heat or cycle out, and so the heat just builds up over time. Things get worse. I've worked with clients who had routers that were running for 30, 60, 90 days. That starts to really, really build up heat with the internal components. And if you do not cycle that from time to time, it's going to build up and you're going to damage your router permanently. You could end up doing warping the components inside. Once that's done, it's done. Obviously, you'd have to replace the device. It can also shorten the lifespan of the device for what you would have had. It could have lasted a lot longer if you reboot regularly. If you take your router, just unplug it. You don't have to get crazy with it. Just unplug it, wait about 60 seconds, put it back, and you're good.
So my husband gets points for that.
He knows what he's out. Yeah.
Yeah. Why does he do that a lot? Does he actually take care of that at home?
Probably. Yeah. Every couple months. Yeah. Kudos.
Good. I love to hear that.
Yeah.
Tyler, I was going to ask you, and this is a personal question. My router is so old. Is there a shelf life when it comes to routers?
Yes. Yeah. So I just did an upgrade on mine just a little bit ago. So the technology for that keeps moving forward. And a big part of that actually is not just the performance out of the router, but the security. Okay. So they're always pushing the network security forward. They're coming up with new methods and new ways to protect your home network. So if you're not keeping up with the latest router technology, the latest Wi-Fi technology, like I just jumped to a Wi-Fi 7 router. You have an older router, you might want to think about replacing it because security could be an issue and it could overheat faster than a modern router that has, components inside that are cooling better. it's just overall it could have better ventilation. Some of the older ones don't have great ventilation,
especially since
that's something to think about.
In a cabinet with the door closed.
In your cabinet, yeah.
Is it a glass
with the shirt over it, right?
Yeah, well, there is like
keep it nice and dark.
Yeah.
Hey, we have a question, and it said, do underground wires have an effect on your router?
Ooh, that's a good question. So I'm guessing he's talking about like fiber optics and things like that. If you have fiber, it does help, obviously, if things are underground, but that doesn't stop. They shield them. They do shield them. When they run those wires, they put a conduit around it to keep it cooler, safe. But at the same time, we live in Arizona. The heat really, really affects all of everything. I mean, I've seen where people thought, again, it was the internet service provider's fault, but it ended up being just that their equipment, not on the inside of the house, but the outside was damaged by the heat. So that's a really good question. Yes, and the heat here in Arizona, the heat can affect everything because everything heats up. They do try to place those underground cables in a way to where the heat won't affect them as much, though. I do know that. Yeah.
Easy, no-cost ways to keep devices cool at home and while traveling. Give us 3 tips if you can.
Yeah, so I had something to share with you. If you're traveling here in Arizona, especially, we have 110 degree Fahrenheit heat is pretty normal, right? We see that a lot. At 110 degrees, if you leave your car, a phone in the car or any device in the car for about 30 minutes, you've already passed the threshold for what the recommended internal temperature should be. So don't leave your phone in your car. I know it's hard. You go in somewhere, I'm just going to be 15, 20, 30 minutes. It doesn't matter. In that time, you could do permanent damage to your device. So don't leave it in your car. That's 100%. I love laptop air pads. I always use an air pad, a fan pad that I keep it on a cooling pad. If you can get yourself one of those, definitely do that. And then you said 3 total. Oh man.
Well, you don't have to do 3. I mean, those 2 are
okay.
great. No,
that's the biggest thing. Is just not leaving it out somewhere. That's I see people do that all the time.
Yeah.
They come back and then if you have like an iPhone, it'll say iPhone is shut down to protect itself. Have you guys ever seen that?
Yeah.
The temperature's too hot
all the time here in Arizona, right?
Yeah, that's bad. You don't want it to get to that point. So try to avoid leaving it out in direct sunlight, especially when you're like by the pool. I know I like to go to the pool summertime. Don't leave it out. Don't leave it in your car. And again, when it comes to laptops, more cooling the better because they're thinner than your standard desktop. So they build up heat quicker. So here in Arizona, it is pretty devastating on laptops.
Tyler, we got to run, but how can folks get a hold of you if they have other questions?
Yes, go to mycomputerworks.com. If you're having trouble with your devices, this is something that we see on a very regular basis. People come in with slow devices. They don't know what the performance issues are caused by. Could be the heat. So go check us out at mycomputerworks.com. We'll give you a hand.
I'm going to call you to get some router information.
Oh, gosh.
We appreciate it, Tyler. Have a good one.
Yeah, we'll go router shopping together.
All right. Sounds like a plan, man. I'm down.
That's actually a really good segment.
Because I don't know anything about routers. And like I said, I just have it. It's in the cabinet. Because I didn't know where else
the TV?
No. It's like in a cabinet in the laundry room.
Ours is on top of a cabinet. So it's getting plenty of circulation.
Maybe I need to stick a fan in there or something. But
one of those little.
Yeah. What was that? I thought you were doing a different. Yeah, I thought you were doing this, and I was like, what?
No,
what are you doing?
Maybe that's what you're doing, and that's why I have routers in the cabinet. One more guest for you guys. We are going to talk about seasonal allergies. We're just waiting for that Zoom guest to pop up. Let's check those fuel prices for you, shall we? One of the things that we saw was the stock market going up, and we're seeing fuel, the price of crude oil
go down
to about, what, 70-ish?
It was like 70-something. Hold on, I had it up on my computer. Yeah.
So the current regular average of gasoline $4.73. It's
73.56 right now.
73.56 for crude oil. The mid-grade gas is $5.13, premium $5.43, diesel $6.20. Highest record average price that we've seen is $6.20 as well. So
for diesel, that is.
For diesel. So let me see Phoenix proper if I can get you. Current average is $4.95. Still high.
We do have an expert on tomorrow that's going to be talking about fuel prices. So stay tuned for that for tomorrow.
questions.
All right, let's talk seasonal allergies, because if you're walking around the newsroom, everybody's sneezing. They're like, I'm not sick.
Yeah.
It's just allergies. And that seems to be something that everybody is saying. So we have Samia Kadri joining us this morning. Good morning, Samia.
Good morning. How are you guys?
We're doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you so much.
So let's talk about allergy zone. What's the big one now, and what are people suffering the most?
Of illnesses or allergies?
Allergies.
Allergies. Well, there's a lot of seasonal allergies, and we know the peak months are February through the end of April. And given our recent weather, I think it has a little bipolar recently. We went to the 90s, 100s. So there's a lot of tree pollen out. It's a little dry. We haven't had any rain. So people's allergies are going to flare. A lot of nasal congestion, runny nose, of course, watery eyes, pressure sometimes to the ears, sinus pressure. So it brings people to the urgent care because at times it can turn into sinus infection or feel like you have a sinus infection.
Yeah. We were talking about this not too long ago, but like when you go to the drugstore, the allergy section is huge. There's pills, there's decongestants with the pills, there's nose sprays, there's the neti pots. What do you recommend for your allergy sufferer patients?
I like the simple route. I think a generic antihistamine, loratadine, cetirizine, levocetirizine, any of those antihistamines, buy the generic brand. Name brand does not alter the chemical content. Saline nasal spray, Flonase or ipratropium. Flonase has a steroid component. The ipratropium has an I would have called it inflammatory. It helps, reduce the sinus tissue a little bit, so you can obviously breathe a little easier. The Flonase can cause nosebleeds, so be careful to use it, sparingly, of course, once a day. And dust your home, dust inside the house can also lend to allergy symptoms.
Sure.
And just be really careful out there in the weather, I guess.
Well, Samia, we appreciate your expertise here this morning. Thank you. We'll keep the tissues on hand.
Oh no, but these too.
Just talking to her, I was like, "Ooh, I feel a sneeze coming on." Just talking about it.
Stay healthy. Thank you.
Thank you again.
Take care of yourselves.
We will. Thank you. All right, that's going to do it for us on this Wednesday. Have a great rest of your day.
can you possibly top the last hour and a half of Fox 10 Talks? Well, Des and I, we sit down in our chairs and we start putting together a show for you that you are going to love for the next 30 minutes. And it starts, by the way, in the Twin Cities, Des. I'm like, this is such a peaceful view. Who has this much time in their life to drive over to the conservatory in St. Paul, park your car, and then just walk around and look at the plants?
I don't know, but I wish I had time like that. That'd be nice.
Yeah, if I did have that much time, you know what I'd do? I'd watch the Masters. Because tomorrow is the world's greatest golf tournament, starting tomorrow, Augusta, Georgia.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's do this. Let's update everybody. We're glad you're hanging out with us. We are Ron and Des, and we are hanging out, getting ready for the verdict in the courthouse downtown. So this is, of course, the case that has brought so much attention. One of the more unique cases, I think, in the annals of crime here in the Valley. It is Ian Mitchum on trial for murder in what had been thought to be a cold case. I think a lot of people thought maybe there would never be even an arrest. But police connected him to the murder of Allison Feldman. She was really just kind of starting her life here in the Valley. She was from, I believe, the Minneapolis area. And she bought a home in Scottsdale. And then one day her body was found. She had been killed. The police connected him to the murder through familial DNA. And it is more of a new technology. And they fought about this, Des, for years before the case even came to trial. But it did. And now some people might look at it and say, open and shut case. Other people might look at it and say, I don't 100% know if I can trust the science. So we don't know what is going to come out of this case.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. And who knows if this, what type of precedent it sets or what type of lesson we learn from a case like this.
Yes, right.
Considering, how they collected the evidence and how it was tested and obviously eventually linked to him. So, yeah, a lot to keep an eye on.
Then the other story that we've been watching closely has to do with this attempted murder case in the Hawaiian Islands. You think about how beautiful it is over there. It's paradise. You had this couple that was out for a hike. And we've been watching that case because it's they just, have been making their closing arguments to the jury.
Yeah, I mean, it's wild, all the evidence that they have in this case. Obviously, he's facing those attempted murder charges for what happened on the trail that day in Hawaii. His son testified as well. So there's a lot to sift through in that case.
And the son talking about the call that he got from the dad where, he's talking about what had happened up there. Well, we had Josh Kolsrud on with us a little bit earlier, and he had some kind of unique perspective. He's a very prominent attorney here in town. Here's what he said.
Said that her husband, the doctor, tried to stab her with a syringe that he had in his fanny pack. The problem is that there were two witnesses who showed up about halfway through what was going on. They never saw a syringe. They never saw a fanny pack with any type of medication, and they were both nurses. Okay, and then the two eyewitnesses, the nurses, they only saw the aftermath. They saw, they came in when the doctor was on top of her and hit her once. Okay, and her injury was consistent with being hit once or twice, but she told investigators that she was hit 8 to 10 times. Now, what the doctor is saying is that she's the one that attacked him because she was having an affair, an emotional affair with a coworker, and he discovered this. And there was also a $1.5 million life insurance policy that he had that would benefit her if he died. So she would have a financial windfall if he would have died. So, there's a lot of circumstantial evidence here to determine who had the intent to kill, who had the motive to kill, and it's not as cut and dry as what the pictures and some of the media is trying to make.
So what we decided to do was reach out to a retired FBI agent. It's Jennifer Coffindaffer. Did I get your name right, by the way, Jennifer?
Yes, you did. Thank you.
Thank you. a long career in law enforcement with the FBI, and I know you've been watching this case pretty closely. What kind of perspective can you give us?
Well, I'll tell you what, it was very interesting. I think defense attorneys always tend to be pretty masterful at sort of being good at turning a case upside down. Look, there is no evidence that she attacked him. All the evidence points to him attacking her. Just look at her. As far as the number of times she was hit, there is no way for a person under those types of conditions sits there and is counting. They are worried about saving their life, putting their hands, being in a defensive posture. There's absolutely no evidence other than that. And actually, this isn't just a case of circumstantial evidence, which I would argue that circumstantial cases are sometimes stronger than direct evidence cases, because it's a situation like this. If you look out and you see your lawn is perfectly green, you go to bed and you wake up the next morning and it's perfectly white with snow, you know it snowed. You did not have to see it. And that is the strength of circumstantial evidence. So this is a strong circumstantial case, but also a direct evidence case, because we see how she has been attacked and hurt. We have that direct knowledge.
So what evidence do you think is kind of the strongest pieces of evidence here in this case against him?
Well, a couple strong pieces. Obviously, her wounds and her testimony, I think, was very strong. Again, that's direct evidence, is her testimony, because she actually lived to tell about it. So that's very strong. I thought she was very convincing. Secondarily, I would say the motive here seems to really jump off the page to me. You're always wondering what would be somebody's motive to do that. Well, we have a clear motive here.
Tell us about that.
Well, the motive regarding this, affair, this can ignite a situation that otherwise might not have been ignited, right? It's the straw to the match to the flame to the fire. Sorry. It's the match to the straw. I'll get this analogy right sooner or later.
Yeah.
Where you have a situation like an affair that can absolutely erupt emotions that have already been seething for whatever reason. And so to me, that provides the motive. And the court is always going to want to understand the motive, the jurors and the court.
Now, the beauty of our show is that we are live on YouTube at the same time we're live on TV. So Sherry, Nevada Pup, one of our most loyal commenters, says, I love Jennifer. I watch her on X, Twitter religiously for all the cases that she follows. Give us a little bit more of your background and why you are as passionate as you are, and how people can follow you.
Well, thank you for that. First of all, what a nice comment. So my background is I have 28 years in federal law enforcement, 25 years as a special agent with the FBI. I worked primarily violent crime, organized crime, gang crime, and was also on the San Juan SWAT team, Dallas SWAT team, Houston SWAT team, and was a firearms instructor for the FBI. So I have a strong tactical, but mostly investigative background. Currently, I serve as an expert witness, and then also I teach, and I'm the News Nation Law and Justice contributor. The reason I am so passionate about these cases and now serve as sort of a victim's advocate, and I use the platform of X primarily for that, and YouTube at Break the Case with Jen Coffindaffer, is because I think it is interesting to get out there, understand what people are seeing, and try to provide an FBI agent's perspective for them to consider, because I always say, I'll never get to sit on a jury. Everyone in your audience and you possibly could.
Wow.
That's pretty interesting.
I also understand that you're really passionate about holding judges accountable. I think this is a really fascinating topic. What do you want to share with us when it comes to that?
Well, when you look at what's happening with judges, and it's just every week it seems I'm posting or finding a case that is just jaw-dropping, and these judges are not being held accountable. For instance, if a bartender overserves somebody, they can be held accountable. What about these judges that are allowing individuals out to commit crimes, and mostly murder is what I'm going to talk about. So there's a she has a hyphenated name. Cooper is the last name. It's Barker Cooper. And she let an individual named Daniel Spencer out. Now, Daniel Spencer had already bonded out and for a sexual predator of a minor type charge. He had solicited a minor. She kept him out on bond, even though the seriousness of that charge. And when he went home, as you can imagine, when you're out on bond and you know it's your last hurrah before you're going to get sentenced, he ended up killing his 5-year-old stepdaughter and torturing her prior to that. And it's on video. So that's one case. Another case is Judge Susan Worthington. That's in Oklahoma, and that's concerning Jesse Butler. Jesse Butler was allowed to be tried and convicted as a youthful offender after he strangled almost to death 2 separate girls. And so he got a sentence that was removed. In other words, no sentence.
Well, we only have 1 minute left. Let's squeeze one more question in, which is, why is this happening? Or has it always happened, but now there's more media coverage? Or is the situation worse? About 40 seconds left.
I think it's always been happening, but now the media coverage is on it. And the reason it's happening, I believe, are lazy, incompetent judges that get these benches and they don't do their homework before they release these people out to kill again.
Wow. Okay. Well, really interesting perspective, particularly in the case out of Hawaii. One more time, people can follow you on social at
Coffindaffer FBI, that's X. And then also my YouTube is Break the Case with Jen Coffindaffer. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Wow. Okay, Des. So we have, we got to make sure we bring her on a little more often, right?
Yeah, she was great.
Sounds like she's got a big following.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mystery cam time?
Oh.
Do we have one?
Do you want one?
Yeah.
Okay, we got one for you. Look at this plaza. Look at that. Where are all the people?
Ooh, it's quiet. Wow.
Give us
Wake
your
up
guess.
That city.
Well, I can't wait to find out about this one, Des, because I believe it's a new camera. They got a cool looking.
I've seen this.
They have a cool looking clock tower off there in the distance, and a nice little plaza where there's just not a soul about. I don't quite get it. Maybe this is another one of America's empty office buildings. They're everywhere.
There's some vehicles on the street back there, so that gives us hope that there's people that live and work in that city.
We have a sign of life.
Right.
Okay, let's see. Nice, beautiful blue sky day. That's for sure.
Well, we've got some guesses funneling in right now.
Okay. Yeah.
3 guesses for Ohio.
Oh, is that right?
That's interesting.
1, 2, 3. I was just noticing some of the blossoms are out, but like that tree that's in the lower right-hand corner, the buds have not quite come out on it yet. So, I don't know. Are you going to go with Springfield, Ohio?
Yeah,
or?
Exactly. Right. Because I have a feeling you guys know exactly where this is.
All right. I'm going to play devil's advocate.
Some reverse searching.
Yeah. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go Springfield, Massachusetts.
Are you?
How about that?
All right.
No, because in honor of our next guest, I'm going to go Springfield, Oregon.
Oh. All right.
Okay. So. Here comes your answer, everybody. Des is ready to go.
It's right here. Let's see.
What do you got?
Ron,
what?
The chat was right. Springfield, Ohio.
Springfield, Ohio. Okay, one last look at it there. Oh.
I don't think that's a parking structure, though.
Yeah.
No, right? Because it's got glass windows. It's probably like some sort of office building or something.
They have the Springfield Museum of Art, and while you're there, don't skip the Hartman Rock Garden. Where is... Oh, it's just outside of Dayton. That's interesting. Dayton, of course, is... Well, I have been to Dayton. That's where Wilbur and Orville Wright had their bicycle shop where they invented like a crude little version of an airplane. In Dayton, Ohio. It's cool. Really cool.
Oh, nice.
Okay, so we're looking forward to Kendra DeMark. She is joining us now here on Fox 10 Talks. Des, take it away. I know you're fascinated to talk to Kendra.
Yes. Well, and I think you were kind of surprised by this topic as well. You were like, what is this all about? So we've got Kendra here with us. You're from Aesthetic IQ in Scottsdale, but we are talking about a trend called looksmaxxing. And it sounds so absurd and wild once I think people find out what it is. It's kind of big in this manosphere. So can you explain this trend and what we're seeing?
So you are exactly right.
Go right up to that microphone.
Yeah, nice and close.
Like
there
a radio show. Go for it. Okay.
So you are exactly right. And it is a lot of it wild and dangerous. So specifically, one of the influencers, one of the streamers that's really getting a lot of airtime right now is called Clavicular. And he's a young man that promotes things like bone smashing, where you hit your jawline with a hammer, and using small doses of methamphetamine to maintain leanness, and using anabolic steroids. And
this is the influencer we're talking about here. He really has garnered a lot of attention lately, and it's kind of like a mixed bag. It's like, do you want to draw more attention to him and keep talking about this? But it's really impacting the younger generation of men who follow his content.
Yeah, because like you were saying, to you and I, and a lot of people, we can hear this and we can say, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Nobody's using methamphetamines to look better. That's not what they do. Please don't hit yourself with a hammer. That's not a good idea. But his main audience is young teenage boys that are concerned with their looks and do have some of that deep insecurities where they might see somebody, and he's a handsome guy, and he's successful, and he's on literally a model on a runway, and they might see that and hear him talking about optimizing and elevating and ascending and get bigger and stronger and handsomer and get the girl, that they see that and think like, yes, that's a good idea.
Are you starting to see this impacting your clientele at all? Are you seeing a change or a shift? Are younger men coming in for treatments, or what does that look like for your office?
We see a little bit of it, mostly because people do still follow trends and they do still get a lot of information from social media. Luckily, when we have people coming into the office, they are more of the group that's seeking out the expert opinion. They want somebody who's certified, who's educated in it, instead of just kind of giving that opinion. But we do hear people that are kind of hearing a lot of like chatter on social media about different trends and are we going to do this? Have you heard of that?
It's scary when you think about it. You know, our children listening kind of to all of this. And you mentioned you have 2 little ones, and I've got children, and kind of scary. So when someone comes in, though, and you are talking about changing appearance, walk us through what Aesthetic IQ does. You guys offer a variety of different services, and kind of how you help guide somebody in, a reasonable manner when it comes to achieving the aesthetics that they're envisioning.
Yeah. So first thing that we do is we always talk about what they like the best about themselves, what the feature is that they don't want to change, and what they think is kind of their best feature of their face. And then we go off of that. So then we kind of talk about like, okay, what do you think is distracting from that feature? So if it's, I think my best feature is my eyes, and what's distracting are like the lines in my lower face, then okay, what can we do to kind of soften those lines and get a little bit more attention back up to your eyes? We're more like the cherry on top, a very natural looking aesthetic instead of that like over the top looksmaxxing, caricature almost.
Yeah. We don't want people smashing their face.
No, please don't.
I mean, it just sounds wild.
Yeah.
What would you say is maybe the most popular for men and for women when they come into your office, just in terms of the overall amount of procedures you do?
So always number one is going to be neuromodulators like Botox, Daxxify, Jeuveau, Dysport to soften the movement, soften the lines. We do that for men and women. Men really like, everybody likes a nice jawline, and that is classically attractive on a male.
Have you ever had anybody come in and say, I would like a jawline like the Hooner? Right here. This look right here.
I'm sure you are getting that.
Every man I've ever had. Yes. They come in with a picture and they're like, this is my.
But has that become more popular in recent years for men? Is the jawline?
For men, the jawline, putting some filler in the chin for men can look really nice. Just kind of subtly enhancing that masculinity, making that like strong, natural, youthful look without anything dangerous or over the top.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah, because there's a danger to all of that. The hammer, the DIY, aesthetic treatments at home,
Let's have DIY and aesthetics like not exist
not even
anymore.
in the same sentence.
100%. Because the best case scenario is it's not going to look very good.
Yeah.
But that's not where the real concern lies. Like if you want to inject yourself with something and it doesn't look very good, that's unfortunate. But if you go blind from it, if you end up with facial necrosis from it, if it's something that they call it Botox, but you got it on Temu and it gives you actual botulism, people have actually died from counterfeit products.
So last question here as we wrap it up, Kendra. So for folks that are looking for these treatments, how do we know? And there's a million med spas around, right? Even locally and different places to get Botox or injections or whatnot. How do you know that you found a reputable place and a reputable injector with good product who's really going to take care of you?
So I always think word of mouth is going to be the best referral source. So see where your friends are going, where people are going that you trust. And then when you're in there, don't be afraid to ask questions. Ask, where did you go to school? You could ask about credentialing even before you book the appointment. Say, okay, so is Kendra, is she a nurse? Is she a PA? I'm a registered nurse. And then when you're in the office, ask questions like, oh, have you been to any conferences lately? What continuing education are you getting?
Are you staying on top of your craft?
Yes, because it's not required. And then another one that people don't think to ask is, have you ever had a complication? Because anybody who's been injecting long enough has. It happens. It's medicine. And so if you've been injecting long enough, you can say, yes, I have. Here's how we would deal with it if something came up.
Okay, perfect.
I know what to do and I have the resources to take responsibility.
And you are with Aesthetic IQ. Let everybody know where you're located if they want to reach out or how to get in touch.
We are located on Scottsdale Road and Shea in the major Scottsdale area. You can follow us on Instagram. It's at Aesthetic IQ Clinic, or it's just at Aesthetic IQ.
It is clinic? Okay,
clinic?
yeah. Okay. That's okay.
I always just tag it and it auto-populates for me.
Okay, very good.
Thanks
All right,
again for
thank
coming
you.
in.
Kendra, ASU grad. There we go.
Thank you.
Thank
Interview. And my other favorite part of the show today, Des?
Yes.
You.
Oh.
At the zoo.
At the zoo.
Check this out.
Oh, it's sunshine.
Unfortunately, the monkey didn't win. I'm sorry, you guys. The giraffe did. And look at this. We've got some treats for the giraffes here at the Phoenix Zoo this morning. We're here with Joaquin. Are you surprised that the giraffe won today?
You know, I'm not going to pretend like I don't have some form of bias towards big cats because I do love the lions out there.
Yeah,
and
they're
you
pretty
guys
majestic.
Don't know Augie the bear that well, clearly. But giraffe are giraffe, you know, like you can show anybody a silhouette of these guys and they will tell you what they are.
Yeah.
They're honestly just so weird. A unicorn is a fake animal, but this is real? Like, what is the world, right?
No, I mean, they're beautiful to look at, kind of surreal to see them up this close. We're here on the deck, and this is an experience that folks actually get to participate in if they come to the zoo.
Yeah, if they come to the zoo during specific times, they can come up here and help us feed the giraffe. As you can see, it's kind of like a bottomless pit for them over here, just constantly feeding the pellets. But they're massive animals, so we make sure they get all their nutrition, and by having guests up here help, they get to be a lot closer and care a lot more about these wonderful giants. I would say gentle giants, but you know what? These guys can actually hold it out pretty good. They can defend themselves.
And who are we seeing here?
Over on the right side, we have Migu. He is the largest giraffe we have here at the zoo. He is our male, too, and recent father, because, of course, we have our baby in the back. Just over in the back left corner, little Cassie curiously watching.
Yeah, she's like, I'm just going to watch mom and dad get their snacks. I'm surprised because, Joaquin, I got 4 kids, and they come running the second you mention snacks and pull those out of the pantry, so I'm surprised she's staying so far away.
You know, as large as these animals are, they're still ultimately prey animals, so they're going to be very skittish, especially at her young age. You know, you never know if there's a lion hiding behind that camera.
Yeah, well,
there better not have been.
It was so perfect, Des, because